Hello, this is Daniel, and today I will be showing you how to program and operate your SPC-2. This control is a part of our natural series, and it is designed to control your curtains based on the pressure. So, our SPC-2 does come with a static pressure sensor, which you will need to hook up, as well as the actual control itself, which I have here. Let's go ahead and do a quick overview of the hardware and connections of the control, and then we'll get into the programming. All right, so we can see in here, we've got our power terminals, line 1 and 2. Then we've got our open relay and our close relay. And that's actually all the connections that we've got here. On the back of the display, we have our input. So that is where we're going to connect our pressure sensor. And then we've got our alarm if we're connecting up an alarm system to it. And our USB port if we need to do any software updates. All right, so let's take a look at programming and operating the SPC-2. In the menu, so I hit the check mark, and then now I can use the arrows to roll through our different settings here. First bunch of settings here are manual overrides, so I will get to those at the end. Let's start off with our set point. Now, before I actually dive into these set point, idle band, and then open and close durations, those are the settings that will tell how our control is going to operate the curtains. Let me give a quick overview of exactly what those mean and how the curtains will be operating. So in the SPC-2, we are going to be opening and closing our curtains according to a static pressure reading. So we'll have our set point, which is going to be a static pressure number. And then we'll have an idle band, which is going to be plus or minus on that number where we want our curtains just to be staying where they're at. And then if the pressure rises too much, then we're going to look to open our curtains if the pressure goes beyond what that idle band is. If the pressure drops below the idle band, then we're going to close our curtains. How long they close for or open for, that is going to be determined by our open and close on duration, and then how long it waits for that pressure to stabilize is and then it'll read the pressure again and then decide if it should move the curtains again. That waiting duration, that is going to be determined by our open off duration and our close off duration. So let's dive into showing you how changing these settings looks. So if we dive into the set point, we can see 0.045 is our current set point. We can adjust that up. Maybe we want it at 0.050. Hit the check mark to save it. Then we can go down to our idle band. We can see idle, 0.060. Maybe we want to change that to 0.050 as well. Or maybe we want a very small idle band. Let's put it to 0.025 and save it. Then we've got our open on duration. So for this, right now, it's set at 20 seconds. That seems like a pretty good setting. You can adjust it, but I will just save it with the default. And open off duration, waits for 15 seconds. Pressure is going to equalize pretty quickly, especially as compared to something like temperature that might take a little bit longer to equalize. So generally speaking, with the pressure control, we can have our off duration be a little bit shorter because any changes should become apparent quite quickly. So here our default is 15 seconds, and that seems good to me. Then continuing on, we've got our close on duration. That is also 20 seconds. That is good. Oops. And then close off duration. Again, 15 seconds. If you want to change it, just use the arrows to adjust it and then hit the check mark to save it. So as of right now, a quick recap. Our set point is 0.05. Our idle band is 0.025. So that means between 0.025 and 0.075 pressure reading, our curtains, they're just going to be sitting. They're going to be idle because we're within that idle band. If we go above 0.075 or below 0.025, then our curtains are either going to open or close to attempt to bring that pressure reading back within the idle band. They're going to open for our open on duration, which was 20 seconds, and then they'll wait 15 seconds, which was our off duration. Then it'll read the pressure again and decide, does it need to open more, or are we within our idle band? Same thing on closing. We had 20 seconds of close time and then 15 seconds of idle, then read the pressure, and if we're back within our idle range or our idle band, then the curtains will go idle. Otherwise, it'll close some more. Pretty simple stuff. The other settings are our high alarm and low alarm settings. So high alarm, we can see here, 100. So if we're above 0.075, then we're supposed to start opening. If we get all the way up to 0.1, then our high alarm is going to go off. Again, you can adjust these numbers with the arrow keys and then use the check mark to save it. Low alarm is 0.020. I'm going to drop that down because we're at 0.025 is the bottom end of our idle band. So we want a little bit more space before we trigger that low alarm. So in this example, because of the way I've set it up, I'm going to move it to here. Obviously, you will need to figure out for yourself what the best settings are for your application. And here, we just have cycled through the entire menu, so we are back to the first option. And so that finishes the settings. Here, I will now show you how to use the manual overrides. So this first manual override, if we hit enter, right now we're in auto mode. We can go up to override mode. This just loops. So if we want to be in manual override mode, then we'll hit the check mark. And then we can see right here, it is overridden idle. If you want to override close, you can hit the up arrow or hit the down arrow. We can override open. So you can adjust what you want your curtains to do, so you can adjust them up or down. And, just make sure that your equipment is working. Before exiting this, we should turn it back to auto and hit save so that we are back into automatic mode. If I would leave it in override and then go back, we can see we've got these LEDs are flashing. That is telling us, hey, you're in manual override mode, not in automatic mode. So then we would want to come in, change this to automatic mode, save it. And then if we go back, right now, this LED is on because it's currently closing. But otherwise, we don't have any blinking LEDs because we are just running in automatic mode. So first override, manual override, is overriding our curtains. Second one, we've got the alarm. So here we can override our alarm on or off to test out our alarm system. Next, we've got the test. So in here, if we go in here, we've got a pressure override. So if we go in here, we can manually override what our pressure reading is. So as we raise up that pressure, we can see, see, now we are outside of our range. And so we can see as we raise it up, now our pressure is high, so it is calling to open our curtains. So you can adjust your pressure reading, manually override that, and with that you can see what sort of operation you will get as your pressure changes. There is also, in this test menu, there's pressure, and then if you hit the up arrow, you can go to factory, which is going to do our factory restore. So you can change that to yes. If I'd hit the check mark here, it would restore my factory defaults. So if you want to restore your control back to your factory settings, that is where you do it. Let's go ahead and go back down. So after that test, then we've got the version menu. So in here, again, we've got two pieces. We've got the display. So that is going to display what our current version of software on this control is. We've got version 106. And then if we go back, we can scroll up and we can see update. So if we want to update, if there is a new version out there, then this is where we can go in here. We can say, yes, we want to update our firmware and have that USB with the update on it plugged in into the control. Say yes, it'll restart your control. It'll run the update and update your control. And so that, if we go through here, after the version, then we get back into the settings. So that is all for this control. That'll do it for this video on the SPC-2. I hope to see you guys in the next video.